Hey, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you are tuned in live, go ahead and put your flames somewhere in the comments and we will be getting right into it. So today is Friday, right? Today is Friday, and today we actually want to touch on a subject here. I want you to write this down. So we're going to be talking about the top 10 things that you need to do today if you want to get started as an entrepreneur. So let me say that one more time. These are the top 10 things that you can do today if you want to get started as an entrepreneur. All right, so let's get started. Number one is you have to have a vision. So I want you guys to write this down. Write down the concept of a vision. Now, when we look at a brand, right? A brand really and truly is a vision displayed in the form of a business. So, what separates a business from a brand? What makes a business a brand is the vision. The vision is what procreates the mission. Shout out to Travis. So, like I was saying, Travis, the vision, number one. So, guys, if you're now coming in, we're talking about the top 10 things that you can do today if you're getting started as an entrepreneur. So, number one is the vision. You have to have a vision. So, I think the good book says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, your business also perishes. So you have to have some kind of vision, some kind of thing that you're striving for, some kind of thing that you're looking for when you're getting started in business. And let me tell you why this is so important, right? Guys, there comes a point where it gets tough. The road gets tough. Believe me, it does. And sometimes the only thing that is going to energize you is the strength of your vision. That is the only thing that will energize you and keep you going. You know, they say 9 out of 10 businesses fail. I bet you the 9 that do fail, they didn't have a vision strong enough. They didn't have a vision strong enough. If you have a strong vision, then when things get tough as a beginner entrepreneur, this will give you the energy, the passion, the stamina, the discipline that you need to stay in the game and eventually see fruit. Okay, now let's go to number two. So, number two is you want to pick one thing, right? So you want to pick one thing and specialize. So a big mistake I see most entrepreneurs making in the beginning is that they don't specialize. They don't select one thing. They don't stick to one particular product, one particular service, right? So when we get started, we have a tendency to think, well, if I'm good at many things, why not do many things and make more money? So we tend to think as beginner entrepreneurs that once you do many things, the more things you do, the more money you make. But that, my friend, is a fallacy. That's not necessarily true. You see, doing too many things in the beginning, right? In the beginning, will take away from the energy, the focus, the stamina, the discipline, the endurance, and the focus that you could put towards one thing and mastering that one thing. Now, people say, well, look at people like, you could go as far as saying, look at Amazon. Amazon sells everything. Yeah, but if you look at Jeff Bezos, in the beginning, he only sold one thing, and these are books. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the one thing that you're going to sell to the market? How are you going to come into the market? What will be your signature service, right? What is the one thing that you're going to specialize in as you come into the market? I guarantee you, selling one thing to one person in one space and one time is what you need to do getting started. So, guys, if you're now coming in, we're talking about the 10 things that you could do today getting started as an entrepreneur. So, number one, we said you want to have a vision. Okay, you want to have a vision. And the reason you want to have a vision is because the vision is what produces the energy. So, for you to get successful in business, you have to have energy. I want you guys to write this down and somebody write it in the comments. Money equals the evidence of the exchange of energy. Money is the evidence of the exchange of energy. So, what this means is if I do something for Travis, Travis gives me money as proof that I did something for him. That's all money is. So, if you don't have no energy, if you don't have any energy at all, how can you have money? So, guys, number one, you need to have a vision. Number two, you want to only pick one thing. Just because you're good at multiple things, it doesn't mean that you're good at running multiple businesses at the same time. All right, let's go to number three. So number three is learning what you're actually good at. So you want to learn what you're actually good at. And the way that you go about doing that is by asking yourself, what is your education? What is your experience? And what is your expertise? So what is your education? Meaning, what are you good at, man? Like, what are you good at? Have you been in university? And education in this context doesn't only mean formal education. It could also mean non-formal education. It could also mean non-formal education in this context. So ask yourself, what are you actually good at? So once you figure that out, another question you could ask yourself is, what are people asking me for? Okay, so what are people asking me for? Are people requesting that you, I don't know, change their Wi-Fi, fix their internet, fix the remote, fix their car, help them with a trade? If you're like Travis here, maybe people are asking you to help them with trading. There has to be something that people are asking you for. And once people start coming to you for a particular service, a particular thing, it's pretty easy, man. You found your thing. Most people tell me they don't know where to start. You just have to get started with something that you're good at. The question and the answer is easy. Where do I start? The answer is obviously where you could add the most value. So number one is you want to have a vision. That is number one. Number two is you want to pick one thing. The way you get to six figures, and most of you here, you're just starting off, right? So you want to get to six figures. You get to six figures by selling one thing to one person with one message, one space, one time, one platform. Number three is you want to learn what you're good at. You want to actually learn and master what you're good at. And now let's go to number four. I know we're sort of breezing through them very quickly, not wasting any time today, going straight forward. Listen, guys, so you want to know, you want to actually learn what you're good at as number three, but number four, and number four is super powerful. You want to learn your personality type. So I want you to ask yourself, what kind of person are you? Check this out. Not everybody can be everything. Not everybody could be everything. That's why in our community, we always give our clients what's called the leadership chess test. The leadership chess test is going to help you to strategically pull out evidence based answers from within yourself about yourself so you could know yourself. If you're viewing this right now, then you have a predominant personality type. And the way that you combine this with business, so a lot of people say, well, Junior, I want to go into business, but I want to do my passion. The way that you do that is by finding out who you are. And you only dive into business opportunities that match the kind of person you are. So if you're a coach style person where you love people, you love to listen to people, you love to sit down, you're very patient, you love being empathetic with people, you're a coach type personality. You probably shouldn't be a consultant. As a consultant, you tell people the answer and you move on. Now, on the flip side, if you're a speaker type personality and you're not a consultant, you want to talk to more than one person at once. So you don't want to sit and talk to one person. You want to sit and talk to multiple people. That means that you're a speaker type personality. So you could be different things, but you have to find out who you are. And here's the key. Once you learn who you are, you then surround yourself with other people that don't necessarily possess the skills that you do so they could complement your deficiencies. So, for example, if I'm a consultant, right, and I'm looking to do something on my business that requires a lot of coaching, if Travis is a coach, I could hire Travis and ask Travis to coach on my behalf because maybe I may not have the patience to coach. Every single piece on the board, just like with chess, every single piece is important. And just like with your business, every single personality type is important. All right, guys. So if you're now coming in, we're talking about the 10 things that you could do today if you're getting started as an entrepreneur. Number one, you want to have a vision. Number two, you want to pick one thing and specialize. Number three, you want to learn what you're actually good at. Number four, you want to learn your personality type. All right, guys, I want you to stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more about the top things that you could do as an entrepreneur. just getting started in the game. Stay tuned.
What you're looking at right now is the new face of leadership. I chose to go the route of SOE, standards of excellence. So I help people put zeros behind their numbers. I help people move up in or out of their organization and get paid their annual income monthly, their monthly income weekly, and their weekly income daily. I promise you, if you follow me at all, you're gonna wanna use something to write with. CSA first, CSA. Clarify, simplify, and amplify. Clarify, simplify, and amplify. It starts with the decision. Who do you wanna be and what do you wanna do? Who do you wanna be? You have to define that. If you don't know, then it's vague and it'll never be clear. The problem that we have is clarity. We walk into an organization happy to be there, happy that they accepted us, but we don't have a clear goal. That's why people stay in the same organization year after year after year, go to the same vacation spots with the same people and talk the same amount of nonsense around the same water cooler. So when I go into an organization and someone says they've been here for 20 years and they're still around $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, I'm like, whew, it's chilly. It's a little bit cold when I know that all it takes for you to raise your prices, whether it's inside or outside of an organization, is self-belief and dedication. Brand you and not what you do. So when I meet people, I ask people, tell me a little bit about yourself, and they immediately tell me what they do. That's not who you are. Branding is who you are. Marketing is how people find out about you. So when you say, I'm a photographer, you just lumped yourself in with a million other photographers. What's special about you? Why should I work with you? I don't need a hand with a camera. I need a man with a story, a woman with a goal, a vision, someone with an idea of where they want to, what they want to be and who they want to impact in their lives. That's what moves me. We know where we belong, whether we're in that seat or not. We heard the word legacy and we were pulled to come. I flew in last minute. Let's go. Leadership, legacy, love. Whew, I gotta be there. So what happens in marketing is when you say, I am you put yourself in what we call a red sea. You're now fighting against a million competitors with a million different things. Clarify, who are you? What do you stand for? And then simplify it, don't make it 10 things. Bruce Lee said, I do not fear the man who has thrown 10,000 kicks. He says, I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. You can have the most mouth-watering steak that the world has ever seen, but if you try to position it or place it in a vegan neighborhood, you make no money. Who are you trying to market to? Sometimes we don't support each other. Sometimes you got to go outside of your community, outside of your neighborhood, outside of your phone book to find someone who will support you. So if your business is hurting, think about the place that you're trying to move, whatever it is that you're moving, and the people that you're trying to sell to. You want to become the OVO. The OVO is the only viable option in your vertical. The only viable option in your vertical. We're not here for competition. We're here for domination. We're here for domination, period. And if you feel differently, you're probably in the wrong room. Is anybody ready for the fifth one? Are you ready for the fifth one? I want to capture this. I want to capture this. For God's sakes, man, your prices. Your prices. We should stand out because of price. Some people look for the lowest price. You're making a big mistake because you're defining yourself. Your success comes from mindset and perception. If you're competing over the lowest price, there's a problem. Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands. Train people. I'm going to leave you with this. We train people how to treat us when we meet us based on how we treat ourselves. Brand you and not what you do. Thank you. You know, there's nothing that you cannot overcome in this world except that which you refuse to fight. When I say brand, when I say brand and authenticity and being the brand, you gotta know your story. You gotta know your story, you gotta own your story, and you gotta be the champion of your story. It's very important that we control our narrative. It's very important that we don't allow anyone else to control our narrative, because when they control our narrative, they control our freedom. They control our freedom and our future. I don't just want it for me, I want it for everybody. It can happen, and it can happen for you, especially when you get branded like a leader.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to send a quick shout out to everybody who is now tuned in. I see Shade. So let's see. So Shade says, "Hey, greatness." And he's shouting out Yvette. Yvette, phenomenal day to you. I see Travis in the building as usual. So Travis, put it in the chat. Money is evidence of the exchange of energy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So guys, if you're now coming in, we're talking about the top 10 things that you could do as an entrepreneur who is just getting started. So number one, we went over number 1 to 4 already. If you're just coming in, number one, we said you need to have a vision. So if you're getting a business started, you need to have a vision. And the reason you need to have a vision is because the vision is where the energy comes from. If you don't have a vision, then you don't have energy. If you don't have energy, then you don't have money. Let me put this up again. Just like Travis says, that money is evidence of the exchange of energy. So everybody knows that business is tough. It's just the nature of the game, right? Business is tough. And when things get tough, especially when it comes to sales. And by the way, we will be talking about sales because today is Friday. Sales really and truly comes down to two things: details and discipline. Details and discipline. But if you don't have the energy for sales, if you don't have the energy to maintain the discipline and the consistency and to be professional all throughout the sales process, even when you get turned down, even when a prospect tells you no, even when you don't close the deal and you have to go and make another call after somebody just hung up on you on the last call, you still have to be a professional and maintain your energy always. And that requires a vision. That requires a vision. So number one was have a vision. Number two, you want to pick one thing. So I know many entrepreneurs, they say, well, Junior, I'm good at 5 different things. I'm great at this, I'm great at that. I can coach, I can speak, I can do this. Trust me, every piece you add to the puzzle only complicates the puzzle. It only complicates the puzzle. And if you're just getting started and you're a one man, one woman team, then trust me, you want to make it as simple as possible because it could get complicated very, very fast. So pick one thing and pick the best thing for you based on your education, your experience, and your expertise. So ask yourself, what do I actually know? What have I actually done? So what have you actually done? What do you actually know? And what have people actually come to you for? Either seeking advice, seeking, I don't know, seeking some sort of assistance. That's normally what you can sell. So most people don't know what to sell. Well, what do people come to you for advice for? That's what you sell. Because if they have that problem, it means that most likely other people also have that problem. So number one is have a vision. Number two is to pick one thing. And by the way, it said that the way you get to 6 figures from zero is to sell one thing to one person in one space, one time, one platform. And that's what we did when we went from crickets to digits with Branded Like a Leader. Number three is you want to learn what you're good at. So learn what you're actually good at. I see a lot of people doing things that they may not be the best at. So what would you, if I had to ask you, what are you the best at, the absolute best at, what would you say? Learn that. For me, it was marketing. And so I invested in marketing. So whatever that is for you, you want to invest in yourself and you want to learn that. Number four is learn your personality type. So I see a lot of coaches trying to be consultants, and consultants trying to be speakers, and speakers trying to be, I don't know, CEOs, and there's a whole, mixture of people in the wrong places. You want to learn who you are, and if you don't know who you are, I want to direct you to something. Let's see if I can put it up. We have what's called a leadership chess test. Go to www.shaanrais.com. I'm going to put it in the comments. Go to www.shaanrais.com. There should be something called an influencer brand profile somewhere on the website. It should be somewhere on the website. You could find out exactly who you are by going through that route. So let's get into it. Number five. So, number five, keep it simple. So, back when I was doing IT, the teacher used this simple acronym, KISS. Put it in the chat. What does KISS mean? It means keep it simple. Silly. We'll say silly. So keep it simple, silly. Listen, good business is simple. Good business is simple business. That's it. I think, and in fact, I know just from consulting multiple people that entrepreneurs, they complicate business. If you're viewing this right now and you want to sell something, just sell it. If you want to market something, start the marketing process. Don't complicate it. If you think about all of the products, so let's have a talk. Let's have a talk about this. All of the products that you know that are billion dollar products, they are simple. There's something called user experience. Like, how can your user interact with it? So, whether it be something like, let's say, a phone. Now, a phone is a very complex piece of equipment, but the user experience is very simple. The actual user experience is very simple. If you think about even things that people don't think about, like cups, mugs, pens, these things make hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Nobody thinks about them, but they make a lot of money. And check this out, even if it's complex on the inside, on the outside, it's very simple. So, guys, number five is you want to keep it simple. So, keep it very simple. Travis says, keep it short and sweet. That's right. So, guys, we're going over the top 10 things that you need to know right now if you're a beginning entrepreneur just starting up. Number one, you want to have a vision. Number two, you want to select one thing to sell. Number three, you want to learn what you're good at. Learn what you're actually good at. Number four, learn your personality type. Number five, keep it simple. Let's go on to number six, selling one thing to one person. Let's talk about it. So, why would you want to sell one thing to one person when you could sell multiple things? Entrepreneurs seem to have this fallacy. They believe that just because I could sell multiple things, so if I could sell one thing and make X amount of dollars, if I sell, let's say, five things, I'll make five times the X number of dollars. And it is true that you could sell multiple things and make more money, but it is not true that you could sell multiple things at the same time and make more money, especially if you don't have a team. If you're not a big corporation, if you're not a big organization, if you're a hustler, if you're just getting started up, then you don't need the complexity of multiple things, trying to sell multiple things at the same time. The key here is this: you sell one thing to one person and you optimize that. That's it. You optimize the funnel, you optimize the user experience, you optimize the way that they buy, you optimize the offer, you optimize just the whole experience from the point of contact with the prospect all the way up until they buy and all the way up until the fulfillment of that actual service. If you could get this done right, then you could go to $1 million. Like everything that you know, every business that you know, most of them started selling one thing. And earlier I gave the example of Amazon. People say Amazon sells everything. Well, in the beginning, they only sold one thing, and that's books. That's it. Once they mastered selling books and they mastered a system for selling books, then they were able to sell multiple things. They were able to open their doors and allow other people to sell other things. They were able to scale. So if you're not, and this is the thing, if you're not ready to scale, then why sell multiple things? It just complicates the process. And as an entrepreneur, you don't need complication, you need simplicity. Let's go to number six. So number six is be a disruptor. Be a disruptor. Just like Mr. Jackson would say if he was here right now, be a disruptor. What can you do that is different from everybody else? Now, in my experience as a marketer, right, I always ask my clients this question. I tell them, this is the thing, and this is the question that you have to answer. You have to be able to answer what is the reason? Why should I do business with you apart from all other options, including doing nothing? Why should I do business with you as opposed to all other options, including the option of doing nothing? Because prospects can just sit on the couch. They don't have to do a course. They don't have to do a program. So when you present your offer, when you structure your offer, when you do your marketing, you have to answer the question, why should I do business with you as opposed to all your competitors, including doing nothing? And when I say all your competitors, I mean your direct competitors, but it's also the concept of indirect competitors. So direct competitors are people who do the exact same thing as you. Indirect competitors are people who don't do the same thing as you, or companies who don't do the same thing as you, but they're still fighting for the same dollar and they're still fighting for the same attention. So this may be in the form of, I don't know, let's say you're doing a coaching program on a Saturday night, and then your customer has to compete or has to make a decision. Do I come to the coaching program with Travis or do I watch Netflix? So, what is compelling about your offer to the point where the prospect has to answer that question and say, okay, why should I do business with Travis as opposed to doing nothing at all, including watching Netflix or just going to one of his competitors? This is number seven. Guys, if you're now coming in, we're talking about the top 10 things that you can do as an entrepreneur if you're just getting started. Number one, you want to have a vision. Number two, you want to pick one thing and specialize. Number three, learn what you're actually good at. Number four, learn your personality type. Number five, keep it simple. Number six, sell one thing to one person. Number seven, be a disruptor. And you be a disruptor by selecting or answering the question of why should I do business with you as opposed to all other options, including your competition and also doing nothing. Let's go to number eight. So, number eight is money in. That's it. A business is money in. So, I know many of you have started your LLCs and you've had the LLC for about 2 years now, 3 years now, 5 years now. Listen, the LLC in and of itself is not a business. A business is money in, is money in the bank. Your only focus should be how do I make money? Of course, you want to make impact, but for you to have a viable business, the business needs sales, it needs money. Do I have a viable model? Can I generate money using this business? And if so, then how? Once you could answer all of these questions, then everything else would answer itself. In business, there are different stages. So in business, you have the stage of attraction, number one, retention, number two, optimization, number three, systematization, number four, you have automation, number five, then you have eventually expansion, and it goes on and on. But the first piece, right, the first piece of any business is the attraction phase. Can you get customers through the door? So your focus right now, if you're starting up, it should be to make a sale because that's how you prove the viability of your product. That's how you prove the viability of your marketing. And that is actually the beginning of your system. So, guys, I want you to just ponder on this for a little while. We're going to go to a short break. But when we come back, I have a special guest that is going to be coming in. We'll be getting into a little bit of sales, a little bit of marketing. Stay tuned and let's grow.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I'm just a kid from Harlem who God chose to show his favor. Themselves while improving the lives of others.
All right, guys, we're back, and I believe we might be on number 8. So number 8 was money in. So we're talking about the top 10 things that you need to do or you need to know as an entrepreneur just beginning. So I won't go over all 8 right now, but number 8 is money in. Number 9 is you have to be consistent. So consistency. So why do you want to be consistent? If you're marketing on social media right now, if you make and Shaan has a term for this, he says it's almost like a social contract. Let's say you're posting on Facebook every day at 8 a.m. Like even if this call, so this call goes on at 7 a.m. every single day, Monday to Friday. So let's say one day I decide, you know what, let's do this at 9 a.m. That nobody would be here because I've broken a social contract. That is one form of consistency. So, keeping up with what you started, people need to be able to trust you. Consistency builds trust. Consistency shows integrity. And write that down. Consistency shows integrity. So whatever you're doing, whatever you started, if you started marketing, maybe the marketing isn't top notch right now. Let's say you're going live. You're still in the learning process. You're still in the learning phase. Maybe you post into Instagram. Maybe you post into Facebook. And it's not the best copy. It's not the best images. Don't stop. Just keep going. Just keep going and get better as time progresses. So number 9 is consistency. Number 10 is you want to get a mentor. So a mentor is absolutely critical. I've had mentors myself, and a mentor, what they do is they collapse time. They collapse time. They allow you to avoid unnecessary mistakes, and they help the process become a lot smoother for you. So guys, these are the top 10 things that you need to know. So number 1, have a vision. Number 2, pick one thing and specialize. Number 3, learn what you're good at. Number 4 is learn your personality type. Number 5, keep it simple. Number 6, sell one thing to one avatar. Number 7, Be a disruptor. Number 8, money in. Get money in. Number 9 is consistency. And number 10 is getting a mentor. So that's it. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to get into a little bit of sales. I want you to help me welcome on a man who is no stranger to the call, Mr. Bobby Jackson, the disruptor himself. What's up, Bobby? How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Junior. I'm doing phenomenal. This is a excellent topic this morning. Being business development is definitely my specialty and wheelhouse. So it's exciting to hear the disruptive and innovative approaches that we've been taking on this call this morning. So it's really exciting. How you doing?
I feel like $1 million man with $1 billion plan, brother.
Yes,
Absolutely
sir.
amazing. Yes.
How-
How about yourself?
Good. Same. $1 million man, $1 billion plan all day, every day. Very excited about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's get into it, Bobby. I'm gonna turn over the questions to you and just I think you do a great job at speaking on behalf of the audience. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, I want you to go ahead, put them in the chat as well. Because this is of course 100% live, so we are taking live questions. Don't be shy, just go ahead, put them in the comments, and we will get to them.
Excellent. So what I'm going to try to do is I wrote down each of the building blocks that we talked about so far, and I'm going to tie the questions to the building blocks because a lot of us are in that developing stage of our business. I believe the startup stage can last anywhere from 1 to 10 years, really. Maybe 5, but you could literally be in the startup stage for years, for a decade, just really trying to find that product fit. So no matter how long you've been in business, if you're rolling something out new, you might want to be thinking about these things. So when we're talking about sales and vision, what would you say is something that we need to have vision on before we set up our sales strategy? Because before I turn this question over to you, Junior, I want to let a lot of people know that I know what they're thinking, right? A lot of us do this. We say, I want to make this amount of money and I can price my product at this amount. And as long as I sell this many of these items at this price point, then I'll make it. But the problem with this logic is they don't have the vision per se for how the product's going to be used. They don't know how the ideal client is going to engage with it. They don't even know sometimes the willingness to pay. So when they have all of these missing variables, what type of vision do you recommend having when you're coming up with a sales strategy?
Hmm. That's a great question. I would say the number one thing you could have is actually just an open mind. An open mind. So there are a couple of things you can have, right? Not necessarily a vision. I mean, the vision drives the company as a whole. As a salesperson, you could have a vision for yourself, and you should have a vision, like your own individual vision. Like, what do you want apart from the company? What do you want for yourself? You should have your own vision as a salesperson. However, what I would say is, and this is this is what has worked for me, is you need to have an open mind. You need to take an investigative approach because the truth is, sales is so in depth, and this goes back to mentorship. It's so in depth that if you don't have a mentor, then it's pretty difficult to learn that stuff on your own, regardless of whatever trainings you take. There are just some things that you could only learn from people who have actually been in the trenches. But let's say you don't have access to anybody who is actually in the trenches. And I've been in that situation myself. Maybe not having access to a sales leader. Maybe you are the sales leader in your organization. You don't have access. So in a big organization, you have people who are, let's say, a rookie salesperson. Then you have a sales manager or sales supervisor. You have a sales manager. Then you have a sales leader. Then you have like sales executives. So there's different levels of salespeople, and each level has a different set of experience that they could share, and they sort of coach and mentor the level underneath them to raise their awareness. But let's say you don't have that, because most people are not going to have that. What do? You take an investigative approach. And here's something that I've been doing recently, Bobby, and I want to share this with everybody. So at the end of your day, like when you start off your day, number one, let's start about the starting. When you start your day, you should have five things that you want to work on today. Like what are the five things that if you master today, it will bring you closer or it will make you a better salesperson? It's just five things, not many things. At the end of your day, look at what you did. Take feedback from what you did. Where did you go wrong? What didn't you do? What could you have done? And then I want you to write down what are your next five moves. So, what are the next five things that you're going to work on tomorrow that if you can master, it's going to dramatically improve your efficiency as a salesperson? So I would say the most important thing is having an investigative approach. You need to learn about your industry, you need to learn about your product, you need to learn about your prospect. And these are not things that you can just know from the rip. These are things that you actually have to, or you might have to go through trials and tribulations to get the answers to. So I would say the most important thing is having a sort of investigative approach, having an open mind, and you have to some degree you have to coach yourself, holding yourself accountable. How many calls did I make today? How can I make more calls tomorrow? What could I have done different? What did I do that was great today? What did I do that was not so great today? What did the prospect say? What are some of the questions they asked? What was the objections? What are my most common objections? All of these things that you acquire the knowledge of using an investigative approach.
Wow. I don't think people were expecting you to go that deep with that question. I think they were expecting, oh yeah, just do this, just do that, and you're good. They got, I think, gems there. I think they got gems there. And that leads me to the next question having to do with number 3, which is know yourself. I
Yes.
think that a lot of times, first time entrepreneurs don't know themselves enough to be good at sales or marketing. And I want to talk a little bit about this before I position the question that I think is really going to help them out is until you know yourself, it's very difficult to market because sometimes in my personal experience and professional experience, we want to help people that have been where we are, especially if you're a coach, a consultant, or a speaker. You're usually trying to help people whose shoes you've been in. But until you know who you are and how you've actually grown, it's very hard to market effectively because you're not really speaking to the right pain point. So put the pin in that. That's one thing to know. The other side is sales. Shaan said this in one of the commercials actually that we just watched. He said, it's important to know yourself because it is knowing yourself which informs you on how to know others, right? So in this process of sales and marketing, how important is it to learn yourself and be authentic with yourself? Because the last caveat to that is so many people I find try to emulate their their idols and end up copying them. So I think this knowing yourself is really important to avoid this copycat syndrome and really emulate effectively to drive a successful marketing campaign and to drive a successful sales strategy. So what's your take on that, Junior?
Hmm. Bobby, that's a great question. When I got started in sales, nobody told me that there was a personality. Like everybody has and this is the thing. If you're looking at this right now, you have what we call, it's almost like a profile. So everybody has a unique style of sales. I think the problem happens when everybody tries to sell like everybody else. So the way that Bobby sells is different from the way that I would sell. Bobby maybe he sells more with story. Maybe I sell more with a consultant's approach. There are actually different kinds of salespeople, and The thing is, most people are not going to tell you that you need to know who you are in the process. You need to know exactly what kind of salesperson you are. So maybe you're more like, and I'll give you a few examples. Maybe you're more like, let's say you're more smooth, you're more laid back, more like a James Bond kind of salesperson, where you're more, you're just more suave, right? And then you have some people that are a little bit louder. They love talking, they love speaking. They don't really like the mystery. They're more hammer closers. So maybe you're a hammer closer. Maybe you're like somebody who's more of an aggressor. Maybe you're an aggressor. Maybe you're a more like a free spirited kind of person. Every single person looking at this right now, they have a sales profile. If you don't know the profile, then you don't know what you need to do. So I'll give you an example. Based like each profile has a thing that they can do to get better. So I'll give you an example. The consultant sales approach is, hey Bobby, so tell me more about this. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so did you try that? And did you try? So the consultant's approach is, I ask you questions, you give me answers, I give you feedback, and eventually we come to some kind of place where we say like, yeah, this is a good product, and then you buy. Now,
Mhm.
for a consultants, they typically lack the emotional sort of side of sales because they're more logical, right? So I'm a consultant by nature. So we tend to lack the emotional side of things. So as a consultant, you need to be, aware of that, and you need to master the art of storytelling to include that in your sales to build rapport. So I'll give you an example. I may be approaching a client, talking to a client. I might say, hey, Bobby, tell me about this problem you're having and this and that and that. We do our whole consultant thing. And then Bobby says, I just don't know because I used to have problems back in the day when I was playing football. I say, oh, you used to play football as well? Yeah, I used to play football. Back when I was 15, I registered for this group and this and that and that. And I give a whole story about how I used to play football back in the day, but I bring it back to a point, which is, Bobby, you need to get going right now. So I use the story in addition to my consultant approach to close the deal. Now, let's say you more of a storyteller, naturally, you tell stories naturally. You need to do something different to better your game. So maybe you need to tell your stories, but you also need to take the consultant approach and ask more questions. Then you have some kind of salespeople who are phenomenal socializers. We call them socializers. And by the way, there's an article from Harvard Business Review talking about these different kinds of salespeople. So the socializers, they're great with people. So these are the people that say, I have no problem selling to anybody. I have no problem talking to people. They can get into the party, they can talk to everybody. But when the time comes for them to ask for the sale, they freeze. So for a socializer who can't speak to people, what they need to know is how to make the transition from social conversation to selling conversation. And then you have people like the focusers who are great at focusing on one thing. So these are the people that say, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I'm sure we've heard that a lot. I can sell ice to an Eskimo. So focusers, they typically can sell anything. They don't have deep product knowledge. That's their problem. The fact that they can sell everything means that there's no real thing that they know very deeply. So the focuser needs to go deeper and into the product knowledge so that they can, effectively increase their sales. So there are different kinds of salespeople, Bobby. And when I got started, nobody told me about this. This is something that I learned the hard way,
Yeah,
on my own, man. So trust me, guys, you're getting some really good information there. I hope you
really
appreciate.
good,
Yeah.
really good. And while I was writing this down, Junior, what I ended up hearing in my head is some of our audience may not know how good of a salesperson they really are if they just tapped into the right type of sell approach. And I think that's so phenomenal because that's the beautiful thing about coaching. It's a future focused, goal and action oriented process. And I think that when you set the goal to become a better salesperson, and then you have a coach that gives you the goals and the actions to take to become a better salesperson, you then find out if you're the smooth guy, the speaker, or the free spirited socializer. Like there's all these different things that I think come from having the right coach, which I really appreciated in this, because that's something that I realized personally, is that all I needed was a reframe. I think I fit into that the socializer. I can go into any party and talk to anybody. I'm not necessarily the life of the party, but I'm very personable, and I have a deep intrapersonal capacity. So my issue was asking for the sale because I wasn't really comfortable with it, but it wasn't like I was uncomfortable. And that's really important for everyone to understand. It's like you're not bad at sales just because you don't say ask for the closing. You're not bad for sales just because you're a little bit nervous. You just might need to reposition how you're approaching the sale. And by doing that, you could get phenomenal results instantly. All I had to do was tell myself that it's my responsibility to close them on a product that I believe can help them. When I made that shift, I understood that I'm not taking their money anymore. I'm giving them the solution that they're asking for. So I thought that was phenomenal, Junior, because I am definitely a different salesperson than you, but I've been able to make sales just as well as you. Granted, you maybe have made sales larger than mine, being that your actual profession. However, I've been able to do well. So I think that's really, really good.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's good, and just like what you were saying, Bobby, for somebody like you probably needed help when it comes to knowing how to make the transition from, I guess, social conversation to then asking for the sale, like understanding how do I make that transition without it being an awkward transition. And that's exactly what I was talking about with a socializer. And I know you're a high I,
Yeah.
which is a socializer. So guys, like I was saying, everybody needs to know who they are. And I believe as a marketer, there are certain people like Shaan, for example. Shaan, when he was here yesterday, he said that he's more of an implementer than a strategist. He's more of an implementer. So everybody, they do things in different ways. But like I was saying, as long as it works, it works. There are multiple ways to solve the same problem. So guys, you need to know who you are and just roll with that. But Bobby, let's go to one more quick break. I think we might be overdue. Just a very quick one. We'll be back very soon, guys. Stay tuned.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
Hey guys, we are back. Bobby, I know it's been a short time, man, but Bobby, you always bring the phenomenal energy, the phenomenal questions once ever you hear. Yes, sir. Let's get a few questions. Guys, I do want to bring this up again. Leadership Live Deep Dive at 5. That is actually tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tap in www.livedeepdive.com.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Travis. It's always a pleasure to be here. So I'm gonna try to sneak one more question in 3 minutes. So that gives me like a minute to ask it and Junior 2 minutes to answer. So when it comes to keeping it simple, I know that when you confuse, you lose. It's very easy to confuse in the marketplace that is as noisy as the marketplace today. It is very easy to confuse a prospect when you have a new product that you're not too sure if it works or not. Granted, you've tried it out, it's worked for you, but you don't really know how many people it's going to work for. So what's the power of keeping it simple during the sales process and the power of keeping it simple in your marketing message?
Man, it's everything. You see, this is the thing. You have to take something complex and make it simple. Think of it like a seesaw, not a seesaw, like a slide. For those of us who have kids, if you take your kid to the park, your kid will go up the slide. Hopefully your park has slides, right? And when they get to a certain point, they're just supposed to just put on a slide, right?
Right.
It's almost the same thing with a marketing message. At least that's how you want it to be. My understanding is this, Bobby. The more they have to think about it, the less likely they are to buy. You can put that down as an ironclad rule, brother. The more like in your marketing, man, the more they have to think about what you write, the less likely they are to buy. Like it has to be a no-brainer. You have to be able to master the art of taking complex things and turning it into simple subjects. So if they're thinking about it, then they don't buy. A confused mind always says no. So your marketing message, even if you're communicating something that is fairly complex, it has to boil down to something that is fairly simple. And same thing for your sales, your offer. If you can get an offer, like think of it like when you go to the supermarket and you pick up a bag of rice or something, like there's nobody trying to convince you to, unless the price is fairly what you would consider ridiculous, right? Then it stops you and you have to think about it.
Yeah.
But if it's priced correctly, if it's positioned correctly, then just pick it up, you drop it in a cart, and you move. It's the same thing, I think, for sales. If your guarantees are in place, if your product is in place, then it becomes a no-brainer. So the more they have to think about it, the less likely they are to buy. That being said, keeping it simple is not optional. It is absolutely mandatory in sales and marketing.
With that, Junior, if I had a mic, I'd drop it because I think that's really it in a nutshell. I think that's one way to close out an evening or a morning rather.
That's right. That's right, guys. So thank you so much. This has been Breakfast with the Brand. Look out for us tomorrow at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a phenomenal Friday and speak soon. Let's grow.
Let's grow.